Today, I want to discuss something very important and very common. What I've been feeling like, apart from my work and other conversation I used to have with my social contacts and professional contacts, there is one topic that is resonating more and more these days, whether it's a dining table conversation or a corridor conversation in office or a boardroom meeting conversation. And you also having the same experience. The topic for today is about AI. This conversation, I'm naming it as fear of AI and future of humans. So this is I wanted to talk to you about and to get your thoughts and share my thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. Miranda, you're absolutely right. This is something that we have been discussing and hearing all about wherever you go, whether you're at work or at home or at some social gathering. This is all what we hear. AI, what is AI? What is happening with AI? So before we actually dive into the a topic that you rightly pointed out today about the fear of AI, why don't we take a step back and start with what is actually an AI? What do we call AI? So I have been in my day-to-day job, like I have been always working on some sort of AI. But the most important thing is to understand that where do we begin? What is actually the common definition that we all can agree on? Artificial intelligence, as the name stands, but what is exactly in the artificial intelligence? It is a field of computer science that enables machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. Now, what is human intelligence? Your ability to sense, understand, and create. Now, this is AI. So, in a way, we are saying that the machines are able to replicate what human intelligence is. How do we do that? Yes, of course, there are tons of methods. How do we achieve that? But in a short way, what I can tell is that AI is a way we as humans are teaching computers to do the task on our behalf. So that's the very first thing that we need to understand. And then we can talk about where does it take us from there.
I like to add one more thing, because when we use word AI, thanks for explaining it. Like you said, like it is a computer system or set of technologies that let computer behave like that requires human intelligence. There are different type of AIs, right? So I wanted
Absolutely.
to add for the audience, like there are broadly four type of AI which I understood, like a generative AI that creates something, predictive AI which forecasts something, assistive or co-pilot AI that supports our work, and the last, which is we are now more seeing, agentic AI that actually perform tasks autonomously.
Very well. I think I have a slightly different definition
Go
or
ahead.
a way to look at it. Basically, the AI is there are three main categories of the AI. The first one is artificial narrow intelligence. It's called the ANI. The second is generative AI, which is generative artificial intelligence. And I'll give you the examples of that. The
Mhm.
artificial narrow intelligence, that's your personalized recommendation, similar to what you said. That, for example, Netflix, it's making a recommendation. It's making recommendation based on what you've been seeing and
Right.
what interest you have. So it's making your recommendation. A smart speaker is an artificial narrow intelligence. If you remember the Google Assistant and every similar Alexa, what they were able to do is that find you the information. They were not creating any information. They were
Right.
heavily dependent on what is available
Available.
on them. Generative AI, which is what we normally now call AI, over the last 2 3 years, what we have seen is the major advancement. That's where we see ChatGPT, Gemini, Midjourney, DALI. What is it doing is that it is not only learning, but it has an ability to generate a content. And that's where a lot of misconception and a fear comes from, that when you see a machine able to do something that you did not tell it.
Yeah.
But if you try to understand that none of it is happening in thin air, there are machines that are processing the information and spitting out the output based on what they have learned. They are limited to what has been taught to them. And
Them.
by taught, but specifically this first application that we had, the chat GPT, as the groundbreaking generative AI, what it was a trained model
On
which
it.
we call the large language model,
On
on billions of parameters that helps to understand what is the next thing that you want to say.
it.
This is more like a prediction of the next step. So this is where generative AI comes. And then there is the artificial general intelligence, which
Right.
is either meet or exceed human level general intelligence capabilities, the three capabilities that we talked about, that you are able to understand, you are able to sense, you are able to understand, and you are able
Yeah.
to take an action on it. So that's what the main three categories are. However, the open AI recently, as of last year, actually published that there are five stages of AI and
Mhm.
of AGI. That is the artificial general intelligence. And that's where I want to bring our attention to, is to
Mhm.
understand where we are in the process. The level one, but they call it, is the conversational AI.
Right.
Now, the conversational AI is what we have I've been talking about, the chatbots and all those communication, everything that we have been using
Yep.
these days. That is our conversational AI. The second level of that is the reasoning AI. That's when we start to exchange ideas and even pinpoint the inaccuracies into the model or into the chat agent, and that takes a different form. It
On.
goes through a process rather than taking the information on the face value. That's what is the reasoning AI. This is where we just crossed it. The third one is autonomous AI. Autonomous AI is the level where exactly what you said, AI agents can work autonomously to perform a task for days and even weeks, and bringing some efficiency into businesses as well. This is where we are. There are two more steps.
Mhm.
The next one, the level four, is called innovative AI. Innovative AI is the systems where systems can independently work and improve the process. Think about a feedback loop mechanism
Yep.
where the one system is doing something and the other system is catching up that this is not right, and there is a loop where they try to fix something on themselves. We are not there yet. And the last one, as per the OpenAI, is the organizational AI. Think of it that organizations where they can autonomously run. And this is where every model, every company in the AI space is gearing towards going towards it. In between, NVIDIA introduced a concept called applied AI or physical AI, which is nothing more than the application of AI in the physical world. So it bridges the gap where we are coming closer to humans. That humanoid is an
Mhm.
example.
Yep.
A humanoid is a machine that has a brain. The brain itself is the AI,
Yep.
and it is able to do three things. It can see, it means it can sense, it
And
can understand what is happening, what is the context, and it can take an action on top of that. So it's creating an action on that. So this is how, when we think about AI, we have to understand that it's not one thing,
thing.
and it's not uh, it's
It's not
not
unidirectional.
it's not
So,
unidirectional,
so,
it's multidimensional.
so
Yes,
let me summarize for the audience. What I understood is, to understand what you have just described, I think predictive AI, which is forecasting, and assistive AI is more of a conversational or generative, because forecasting is also generating something based on what you asked.
correct,
And
correct.
assistive AI is also that you are performing something and you ask for help and it is assisting, which is like it is providing advice to you. Agentic AI, which already has a category, which you said like autonomously do something. I want to add, because this is so far we haven't added. So robotics and AI. So previously robots were like programmed. So they were
Yes,
programmed machines, which is the physical or applied part of AI. And whatever AI we have discussed is like a soft or virtual execution of things. So if an
correct.
agentic AI is doing something, some transactions, completing some process, that happening in the machine, which is like a computer software or a program. But when
That's
you
right.
applied it, you bring it into a physical machine, and then that machine do some tangible work or a physical work. that we are combining robotics and the AI. So that's where
Correct.
the applied AI comes. That's my understanding, right?
Physical AI,
Physical
applied AI.
part of it.
This is
Yeah.
exactly where the intersection is happening, and that's why you see the companies like SpaceX with their humanoid. There is Figure AI with a 39 billion
Yep.
valuation even before IPO,
Yep.
and then there are other companies which I personally have seen that there are about 15 companies that have been funded more than $1 billion over the last 1 year because of specific domain that they are working on. They're trying to bring that physical AI into to life by either building a humanoid brain or
Yep.
building the skeleton around it, because it is one way where the future of industry is heading
Heading
towards.
to. Yep.
It is going to address multiple things, but this is just the beginning of it.
Exactly. And this is where the topic is like when I used word fear of AI.
Yes,
I think this is what I sense, because previously there was always an excitement, element of excitement when we talked about automation, RPA, anything that we experienced personally in my 20 years of career. Like everything used to excite. But this is the first time I'm feeling that the people I'm talking to, element of fear is more than the element of excitement. And I think, to me personally, you can add up to it or disagree, that as a human race, whatever we have developed or technology advancement we did, we survived like from manual record keeping to computerized or digital data entries, and then manual processes to automation where we had softwares that were doing, and then human based decisioning to provide
that's right.
the logic or the outcomes were controlled. But this is the first time where humans are not feeling in control, which is the point that where they are dealing or experiencing a technology that can learn, understand, and then provide recommendation or suggestions to human that mimic human intelligence. And this is the
That's right.
thing that used to differentiate humans from the animals. So we are the most intelligent species that survived and evolved when we made the world that we are in today. And now we are seeing something that is not only replicating our productivity or efficiency, previous technologies. So I like to like see there are two three things that it used to the previous technologies helped humans in. One was efficiency, that they were more efficient
That's
than
right.
humans, most of the humans. Second was productivity, in terms of they were doing a lot more things than a human can do in a day. And the third was the volume. So a human can do to a certain extent, but you can do RPA or automation, and then it can keep churning and doing things because they don't get tired. Now AI is challenging the core domain of intelligence of humans. That's where humans are scared. That's what I feel. What is your take on that?
Yes, absolutely. I think, first of all, when you see a machine communicating to you as a human, that really scares you. I have multiple people around me that they don't want to even take the name of the AI, only because of the fear that I don't know. It's like a freak show. I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with it. And
Yeah.
I hope nobody builds on top of it. And there are people who are so happy and excited that they are spending hours and hours every day
True.
just to understand how to crack this code, what are the limitations? Can I do that? Can I do that? That and there needs to be a balance in between both. But the fear is real, and the fear is because you don't control the output. That's where the fear is. It's a fear of unknown, that I don't know how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah.
If I ask something, I don't know, because I don't control the parameters, I don't control the
Yeah.
output. I have to be very specific in what I am asking,
Yeah.
and be ready of what information I'm going to get. So I'll keep that one, and I'll gonna come back to it because I have a different perspective on
I
that.
like to add one thing. So there is still some misconception at some level. I have talked to some people. They are still thinking in old ways that they can control the input and the output while using AI. This is what I said to them. Like if anything where the input is fixed, processing is fixed, and outcome is fixed, it cannot be AI, because
I was
that's
going to
totally
ask you
that's
actually. I was actually going to ask you because you brought up a very important point, that automation. So I wanted to ask you that you have done automation number of times
Yep.
in number of organizations.
Yep.
So it is not a new world to you. So when you see AI and when you see automation, how do you correlate? Or even do they correlate? Are they completely different swim lanes? Do they have an intersection point? Or do they share something that is common across both lanes?
So this is very fine line between automation and AI. AI application can be in automation as well, but automation is
Correct.
not AI. Primarily, automation is something where you remove manual steps and let the machine do the task automatically. Again, so this is where the distinction happens. It
Yeah.
can do the same task again and again and produce same result with the same input. But in AI, you cannot control the output. Even if you are giving the same input, it can autonomously do the task without human intervention, but outcomes you cannot control. And this is the scary part, which you said that human don't know what to expect.
That's it.
That's right. The other part, which is interesting, I've been experiencing and I've been asked because I've been using a lot of AI at my projects that I'm doing. So whenever I tell someone that I'm using and I'm interacting with AI, whether it's Agentic Hub or different technologies like Copilot, the first question people ask, "Hey, has it reduced your effort and time of doing something?"
Yeah,
So,
good point.
so my answer is always not at the moment.
No,
Because the thing is, AI is learning from us. At the same time, we are also learning from AI. If somebody expect it to be a quick uh, application that can, a tool that can solve my problems very quickly, it is not like that. It's a capability we have to learn, and this while AI is also learning from it. And yes, there are some session limited or restricted memories, so wherever I feel I start another session, so I have to restart with the whole thing. So there are ways around it, but we are all learning from it. So the answer is no at the moment, but again, going forward, the technology will be advanced enough to make it more faster. But yes, the application make it very quickly, very productive for the organization who are adopting it. But as a person that I'm interacting with on my daily basis job, it is not as quick at the moment or as efficient at the moment, but it is making life efficient for other people.
yeah, I hear you. I completely understand where you're going with that. I think, and that's where some of the misconception is coming in the organization. Sometimes they are doing automation, but they call it AI.
AI.
That we are applying AI,
Yep.
but underneath there is a very fine line between what is an automation and what is an AI. And I'll
Yep.
give you an example that if I am improving a process where I'm gonna do, let's say, ETL,
Yep.
extract information from tons of data and then transform it and then load it into some other database, this is where I'm purely doing automation. I'm not doing any pattern recognition.
Yep.
I'm not doing any machine learning on that.
Yeah.
I'm not creating any new patterns. This is automation. But
Automation.
when I take an example of, let's say, a virtual agent acting as a customer services,
Yep.
where it is able to mimic as if there is a human at the other end,
Correct.
then it is able to go beyond and try to understand the sentiments that it is coming through, the words that is being fed into it, and then respond to it based on the understanding it has built around it.
Yep.
You're not hard coding the output. The output is coming based on the understanding of reasoning and the model and the prediction about what is the situation, what do I need to do about it. But in this whole process, I'm going to second to you, and I'm going to even further um, dig deeper into the point that you mentioned, that right now AI is not able to help you reduce your workload. Because what I'm experiencing is that there is a lot of AI slop being created
Yep.
when you are using these tools,
Yep.
because One, the tools are maybe not mature enough yet, or they do not have the context that you might be looking for,
Yeah,
or they provide a very generic vanilla version of the output that may not be tailored for your purposes.
true.
So, but to rely on that information is very risky.
At the
You
moment, yes.
can be faltering at the moment because there is hallucination, there is drift in
Yeah.
every model that you have to control. And as a normal user, these are the terms that I would not know and I would not even understand when the output is being generated
Yep.
without actually evidence versus when there is the relevance of that information.
So
That is also playing
yeah,
into it. Have you seen that?
exactly. You brought forward one of my point that I had in my mind for the future for humans, right? With this,
Okay.
when you said like hallucination, this is a now a common word, and it has an understanding that when AI produce something that's not true, but
Yeah.
it's hallucination, right? And it thinks that it is true based on whatever context it's got. I first like to describe the way you describe about an agentic bot that is talking to a customer and behaving like a human, trying to understand. So it's a classic example we can correlate with the scorecarding method, where it has some certain models that it is
Yeah.
applying to the conversation, which is an input from the customer coming in, and then during the conversation it established some context. So everything has certain weightages, and it can produce some outcome which is not controlled by a scorecard or by a logic or a
That's right.
program. So it could be up to spot on, or it could be hallucinated, which is means that it's not true. That's where I see that in future I predict there will be less jobs with more accountability than more jobs with less accountability. What I mean is, now we used to have like the programmers and customer service representatives. They used to have the script to go through. Programmers have to type the code based on the requirements given to them and produce an output. So it was, and then there is a maker checker concept, QA, everything is involved, right? They were specialized in that language or coding. They were just getting the requirements, documenting it, producing it, and giving it to someone. So the responsibility was less in terms of accountability. So
Okay.
now I see that the coding will be done by AI. Websites will be generated by AI. You just give some prompts, it will produce the page and everything. What it is doing, it is reducing the need of the people or the professionals or whoever who had less responsibilities. So it is taking their jobs in terms of
Okay.
doing that work by themselves. But now there has to be a person or someone who will oversee that work, whether it is producing what is expected or it is hallucinating or not. So that reviewer has more responsibility than actually the doer. So that is
Right.
the key thing that people or humans have to understand, who are seeing this challenge, that they have to shift themselves toward a point where they are overseeing or supervising the work or the output that AI is producing, rather than trying to compete with the AI of producing the code or generating the website or image which AI is producing. No, you are not there. You have to come back up. But obviously there is a less space on top as compared to at the bottom. So that's the simple logic.
So do you foresee that there will be reduction in the number of jobs or job categories that every tech professional will be able to tap into?
So to that's my second point. You because I thought it logically, and that's the right question comes into the mind after this conversation. So I'll give you one example. Back in 2016, I was working on a project where the client brought a requirement. So they had 11 staff in one of their teams whose job was, whenever a payment is declined, an auto payment was declined from a customer credit card, their job was to see every day what are the payments that were cancelled or declined in last 24 hours. They used to reset those payments manually into the system so that they can trigger again, and they used to call the customer that, yep, your payment was declined and we have established it and it will be done next day. That was the
Okay.
task. So why I'm giving you this specific example, when we got this requirement from the client and business, they said, okay, we want to automate. So they came up with the mind that we were implementing a BPM project. So they said,
Okay.
we want this flow or feature into the application so that these guys can also use this new application and conduct these steps. So we
Okay.
said to them, so the analogy was, if anything is low risk, well defined process, and very high in volume, that was a perfect candidate for RPA, robotic process automation.
Right. Right.
We said to them, why do you need these 11 people? We can automate it. A system can pick up from the database all the declined transactions. It can check whether they qualify for automatic reset, and a notification will be sent to customer, and that would be good enough, and the payment will be deducted. That was a thing, and that was instant. I felt that these 11 people's job was removed, because not the jobs were removed, those role was redundant.
Roles. That's why I asked
And
that. Do you
so
foresee
at the
that the
same
roles are
time,
going to be?
exactly. So client, what they did, they took those 11 resources and they placed into the main customer service stream. So they were back into that stream where the BPMN was implemented. So they did not lose their job, their role was changed. Similarly, there were several jobs that never existed before the .com, or even before the
That's true.
social media. So at the same time, when some certain jobs will be removed or roles will be removed, then there will be new roles will be created. So it is now up to us how we are going to leap into the new roles, or transition ourselves into the roles that are more close to our current skill set and experience, rather than saying that, okay, we are not going to change, the world has to still give us an employment or a role that we can do. So I think that's how it goes hand in hand. So
That's very good example. Just for our audience, can you just briefly explain what is BPM process?
business process management process. So what it does, any process in customer services that you see, there is an end-to-end execution where customer
Right.
initiate, or we or a company initiate some transaction or some calls, and then it is customer is provided either with a service or a product or with some information. It takes certain steps. It is purely a BPMN, or there are multiple businesses or departments are involved to do that, whether it's an order fulfillment, a bank transaction, loan application, everything that has certain steps, inputs, outputs, and an outcome towards the end, whether it's a providing an information, approving a loan application, that's what we call a BPMN. And any application that handles all those things is a BPMN.
So in a short way, we can say that it's a workflow engine and it's an
Correct.
orchestrator
Correct.
to define the entire workflow. And that workflow is what is followed by machines in
Yeah.
order to execute these steps. So this is where we could say the automation RPA, and then and we are using BPM and engine in order to create those flows to let the machine know
Correct.
what are the steps that you have to take. If else, all those decision trees,
Yep.
metrics that come into the picture. Now, I think that's very good example, and I think it summarizes very well as to what I asked you, that will it eliminate the jobs? And no, I think the answer is it will eliminate certain roles, but there will be new roles
The rules.
that will come because of how much AI is going to penetrate. So, in a way, when I think about it, the laborious task, the monotonous task, and the tasks that require a lot of human intervention today, but they are repetitive, those are the ones that are easy to be snapped up by the use of AI. And we see the examples in the small, medium business enterprises where they are trying to reduce their customer care agents because they want AI to take care of the menial task. I cannot log in, password reset, what's my bill, where, why I get this much charge, can you do this? So
Yep.
those are the things that are going to be handled by the AI
Yeah.
agents. But when it comes to something complicated, something beyond the context of the model it
Yeah.
has been trained on, it needs to go and tap into a human,
Yeah.
bring on a customer care agent that is a human. So it's kind of like a high level of order thinking that you have to come in. So humans still have that opportunity or still have the role to oversee what my machines are doing, versus considering that it is going to replace my job. So we
Yeah,
need to think about, for example, especially the high tech and the tech professionals. I would say that they need to think about that instead of my role to can do something myself,
yeah,
how I can leverage machines and agents to do this for me, but I ensure the quality, the authenticity, the
correct.
data in, data out.
Yeah,
So I become more responsible
yes,
and accountable, as you said,
correct.
about what I'm going to produce.
Bro,
I will have less of time to spend on getting the data, but
yeah,
I still have the responsibility to synthesize that data, understand if this data is coming from a valid source, if it
true.
is coming out of hallucination or a
Correct.
drift that the model is creating. So
Yeah,
those are the responsibilities. So I'm thinking of like from more work, it's gonna become more critical work that
correct.
as humans we have to
Correct.
do.
So you rightly said like the critical thinking part. So instead of
Critical thinking, right?
using the muscle memory or finger memories for typing and coding something or creating a website, I think it will be shifted more towards the observation, risk assessment, whatever the output is being produced, is it missing something or it is giving something wrong? And I think that's where we are not as used to of it, because while we produce something at every line or at every step, we are rectifying the problems or mistakes. But when someone else is similarly, like someone has
It's
coded something
similarly,
and then give
yes,
it to you, so
exactly.
at times you feel, okay, it would have been better if I write this code by
If I,
myself. It will take less
yes.
time as compared to I'm reviewing someone else's work. It's the same thing, same situation. But again,
And I,
whoever becomes like a very quick on it or smarter, that is where the organizations will be needing people in future who understands it and who can go. It's like a more of a governance aspect of the output.
correct. Yes. And I think there is, I'm going to tie in another misconception that we see a lot of times whenever the world of AI comes into workplaces, that it's going to reduce the jobs of software engineers, or we can get rid of software engineers because it can do the code,
Yeah,
which is not true. Because
yeah,
as you said, that just for me to sit and create a complete application, an enterprise ready
yeah,
application or a production ready application, it's not just that the code is created. There is a lot of debugging, there is a lot of work in order to ensure that it is behaving the way I want it, it is adhering to the policies the way I want it. So
yes,
your role may become change from being a software developer yourself to oversee the work that somebody else is writing for you, but it does not mean that you don't need to be a software developer or
yeah,
software engineer. You still
yeah.
need to be there. However, the slight shift might be that instead of just a software engineer, you might become more of an architect. You
Architect.
take on a high order critical thinking role where you are overseeing the work that is being produced and then instructing, this is not correct, I need it this way, it needs to be fine tuned, this is how it needs to be approached. Because again, going back to the point that I mentioned earlier, we cannot 100% rely on the output.
Correct.
We have to take the responsibility
Yeah,
still of what I am producing,
producing.
whether I did it myself or whether I asked an AI agent or a model to do it for me.
Like in old days, I remember like we used to have like interns. So whenever we used
Yes,
to get interns, we used to give them some sort of like a bulky reading task for understanding policies and processes, and we used to ask them to produce their understanding on it or summarize it or conclude it so that it can be
that's it.
implemented. So especially like in the banking and financial services where I worked most of my career, the main thing was to govern the policies or implement the policies that
Right.
are given by whether it's a state or the some banking bodies. So there were like different layers of regulations, policies, and then restrictions used to come, and then these were always wording heavy documents which used to
Correct.
be read and interpreted by humans, and then different people used to have different interpretations, and they used to have like a back and forth clarification with the that body to what is our understanding is correct or not,
Yes.
which AI is helping massively by summarizing and concluding those things. But again, whether the understanding that AI has, is it correct or not, it's on us.
That's
before
correct.
even
Yeah,
implementing it. So we
absolutely.
cannot let that control to the AI, or like a driving seat to AI to implement those sensitive policies, regulations, because if something goes wrong, the impact will be massive.
AI is not going to take
So
the
the classic,
responsibility.
I'm not just saying in a way that I am belittling AI, but again, the point is it is not mature enough at this
Not
stage to
necessarily.
replace those years of skills, right? You still need those people to supervise, to oversee, and to even improve AI. So yes, we may not need same number of people that used to work. We need a combination or handful of people, but again, there is still a need. But again, like we have always said in the human race, the survival of the fittest. So I think now it has
Yes.
to change survival of the smartest. That's
Exactly. A
absolutely it.
very, very valid point. So I think, yeah, you mentioned it rightly that I just saw that Ford recalled 741,000 vehicles recently because of some risk involved in it, which is a huge number. So think about in this scenario, if any, even a single number of vehicle is being recalled, and you try to find out that what really happened, and if you've come to conclusion that it was an AI generated mistake, who you gonna put that, who you gonna hold accountable for
So
that?
that's
It,
a completely
that's
that's a completely
it's a huge
separate discussion.
issue.
I would love to have a separate session on that, because I will start from the driverless cars, autonomous
Yes,
cars, because what is
that's right.
happening, my question is still open. Like we are talking about connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and then self-driving cars. But again, insurance, driving license, all of these things, who will be the responsible for the accident, whether it will be the car
Yeah,
manufacturing company or is still the owner of the car. Do we
yeah,
still need driver license if we are sitting in a driverless cars? So these are the questions that are like a, this is the conversation that where we need to sit and have, rather than worrying about that our job will be replaced by AI and then number of jobs are reducing. I think that's where we need to take the conversation to, that once AI will be implemented, the decision it is taking, who will be responsible, the technology team that implemented it, or the still the policymakers who
yeah,
wants to control the outcome. So it's still not clear. But again, everybody's trying to get their hands dirty with AI because nobody wants to miss the bus. So everybody's jumping on this bandwagon. It's a bubble at the moment. But to me, it has to be taken very cautiously, implemented in a sandbox or a very like a pilot projects on certain customers or certain scenarios where you see the outcomes, and then if something goes wrong or sideways, you can still control the damage rather than doing it at enterprise scale. So that's what my recommendation would be. Oh, and the other thing that I'm seeing and I'm hearing, there are two things. One is
yeah.
it is being seen as a cost reduction tool. So if we adopt this technology, if we adopt AI, then we will not need certain number of people. So that overhead will be gone, and then we can save that number of dollars. That's the first thing. And the other is what adoption is being used. I don't think AI is a tool that is being adopted or has to be adopted. I think it has to be a capability that needs to be developed within the organization. So it should be seen as a capability rather than a tool. That's where
Okay,
concept is, because tool is something that you have a certain task that you do in a certain way, and then you are
okay,
adapting a tool to get that same task done. But AI is going to change the way we operate. AI might change the way the organization structure behaves, because you may not have the
that's
same
right.
organizational structure, you may not have the same organizational processes, because these processes are well defined, documented today, and a human required to do certain steps. Then you need certain roles. So if the role does not exist, then why you have that structure required? You don't need the structure. So has to be a capability that yes, as an organization, we have the capability to deliver this, we have the capability to do this, rather than
Hmm.
yeah, we have got this tool, now we can serve our customers better. You have
That's a
been
very interesting perspective that you brought up. I didn't think about that one because but my understanding of the AI is that it is a tool, and I think I want to understand that how you foresee it different. And I'll give you my example. Example is that in in my childhood, and I think you must have experienced the same, that calculators came for the first time. I know that I was in fifth grade or around that, and when we moved to sixth grade and we started getting introduced to algebra and equations, and everybody was so happy that they have a tool which is a calculator that allows them to do the multiplication and division faster, because the number of digits in one in your problem or equation are getting more and more. And the more we relied on it, it took the load away from us. But at the same time, if that tool was not available, it became very difficult to understand that what I am doing, and it was feeling like very painful task.
Yes.
I see the AI again, it is a tool
Right.
that, just like calculator, it is going to help us or take certain tasks away from us. But how much the output is deterministic, that is still a questionable, and that's why you need to make sure that you don't 100% rely on the information that is coming out of it or the action it is going to take. That's where you need to have those guardrails in. You need to have that kill switch in to make sure that you are able to contain if anything goes sideways. I want to understand that how you see it a capability, because this is going to be a
Yes.
new concept for me.
So I think capabilities, the way organization sees different tools or technologies as capabilities, it's been happening because you know that TOGAF. So I'm lucky, like I have
Yeah.
spent some time and understood and certified for TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Frame. So in the architecture development method, we always see something as a capability. So we try to build capabilities in organizations through architecture. So we don't see that we have this tool to serve a customer. We see
Okay.
something as an organization have the ability or capability to handle customers. Handles mean or manage means like it can handle variety
Oh,
of
I
situations
see.
and
I
scenarios
see. I
rather than
see
we
your
have a
point.
tool to deliver. So if you give X, so calculator, and again see it like this, calculator is something as extrinsic, which is like
Yes.
beyond. So if you have it, you can do something. If you don't have this tool, you won't be able to deliver something, right? But
Right.
if you have that capability in you, which is more intrinsic, then you can deliver it, or you can
Right.
leverage it to do certain things. So the way we see it, I'm giving very crude because I want to understand everybody who is hearing. So in an architectural development method and the BizBox, we want to encourage our clients or our people that we work with to see everything as a capability. So to me, AI is a capability, not a tool. The way leadership, the moment leadership will start seeing it as a capability rather than a tool, it will change the whole perspective, because then they will see
Okay.
it as embedded within the organization as a daily part and parcel for their internal customers and the external customers, rather than just see as something, a tool that they are getting it and then they will be implementing, and tomorrow they will buy something else or something new, and then they will. So it is going to
Okay.
go into every aspect of an organization,
No,
whether
that's I hear you now. I think that makes sense. You said it right that it is going to be everywhere. There is no question about that. Whether we adapt it, we understand it, and we understand that how to leverage it is going to be based on each individual's capabilities and understanding of overcoming of that fear that I don't want to do the AI.
yeah,
It is going to be there. We cannot hide from it. We cannot escape it.
yeah.
We will be outdated if we are not staying on top of it.
Okay, so I'll give you one more example that will resonate more to the audience. Amazon. The way I see it, Amazon has a capability now to deliver an order within 24 hours to its customer.
Yes.
They do not have the tool. They have a set
Yeah.
of
They have a
technology
set of
and
capabilities.
tools that works in a way that gives them a
Definitely.
capability to deliver this. So tomorrow, if somebody invests all the money in the world, they cannot stand up another Amazon, right? Because they can buy technology, they can buy tool,
Yeah.
but they
But
cannot
it's the
build
capability. They cannot build
capability
the capability.
which
Yeah.
Amazon has
I
built.
think I think
So
that's a clear
that's how I
differentiator.
see. So organization must invest in seeing AI as capability rather than tools. then there will be a success, the real
I
success.
think that's a very good way to look at it, but also it's a very difficult perspective that I doubt if many leaders are thinking that way, because where they are heading or how they look at it is it's a magic bullet that we are going to give, or magic pill that we're going to give it to our employees, and they're going to be supercharged, and
Yep.
then they're going to reduce the number of people and everybody, and we're still going to make money, and we're going to improve our margins,
Yep.
reduce our cost, and make our shareholders happy. I think that's where the entire notion of where and how that AI is going to be used is, I would say, like misplaced right now. Right now, it's more used as a leverage to reduce the workforce rather than building the capability, as you mentioned.
And it could be the way humans be, because we are looking at the appearance, or the we are still fascinated by it, so we haven't got a chance to mm, spend mindful thinking, or like going deep into it, what it can do. And I'm not saying that every organization or all the leaders are doing the same. There would be people around the world we don't know, or we don't have seen and talked to. They could be doing and seeing it as a capability already. But whatever I have seen and I have heard, the most resonating thing is like it is being seen as a tool that can reduce their cost, reduce their overheads, and then that can do things faster for them. But that's like injustice to AI. So like
Yeah. And I think I want to bring up another point where in my role, like my role is where I look at the technology, I look at the market, and my role is to find out that what where the future lies with respect to where the market is heading and how I can leverage these technologies in order to build new products and services that the customers want or customer will want in future.
yeah,
Now, to do that, my work usually starts with understanding the market. And
yeah,
that's where I have seen people falter of relying too much on the AI engines to give them the information without actually having their own perspective on it.
right,
So what I have seen that it ends up is it's a very over promised and overcommitment figures
yep,
that when brought to the leadership, their eyes light up and they want to
yep,
believe
yep,
that this is true. However, that the the lens, the micro, when you put it in a microscopic lens, you understand that the way model has used those assumptions are
yep,
not aligned with how you would approach it
correct,
with conservative, moderate, or very aggressive approach, and you understand your domain, your market, your customer
yep,
segment. So you have to tread very carefully on how you want to leverage these tools and capable to build that capability that you mentioned.
correct.
So
So
I
that's
see it very
important.
important.
This is again the same thing, because it has always been like this. So whenever any new technology, any products, technology products, or even any physical products used to come, so those companies have the marketing team and sales team that tells all the benefits it can bring, but not all the benefits can be realized as is in the company. So the companies and organization needs to make adoption to that as well. So for example, if we are going to get Ferraris or like any Mustangs for our company, I'm just taking, if we don't have the right drivers, how are we going to utilize them? If we don't have the roads,
Yeah,
how are you going
the
to ride those on
infrastructure is
that?
not there.
So,
Yeah,
so there are so many other aspects. So that's where we are missing the point. It is not a tool or an product that you just buy and bring into your fleet and then it will start working on it. No. So
yeah,
if your organization's technology stack, which we call it like everything from between the customer to the profit or
to
the
the
bottom,
profit. Yeah,
any technology that is involved, there are several layers, from applications, social media. Now social media is the top layer,
yeah,
which is the contact channel, right? And then applications, bpmn, databases, and then your rules engine
rules
now.
engine.
And then you have your whole um, the, infrastructure, where hold the physical servers, which is like now replaced by clouds. So everything,
uh,
all the tech stack has to be synced in a way that support that back and through flow in terms of between earning $1 from the customer and providing the value to the customer. So we have to see through it before just picking something and then placing it within these
yeah,
stacks. That's not gonna work.
makes sense. So that's a good segue to Imran by bringing all that conversation to a conclusion. So we talked about what is AI. We talked about where does it stand. We talked about what is the fear, why there is a fear, how it is being used,
Yeah.
how misnormally it has been placed. But now the question comes, what are we going to do about it? Or what should we do about it? You have any guidance on how our listeners, our viewers who are looking at it and will resonate with our conversation, want to understand, yeah, I understand all these points, but what do I do? What is my next step?
This is interesting. Like, this is a question for myself, which I asked myself first. The answer that I came up with and I recommended myself, I think I'm going to share it with. And people may agree and may disagree. And if people have more
Absolutely.
thoughts, they can absolutely share with us and tell us like what it should be. But the way I see it, the first question that I ask myself, is it something temporary? No, AI is here to stay.
It's
it,
here to
it will
stay.
be it will be part of our lives, whether we are as a consumer in our home, in our consumable products, or like technology products we use in our daily home life, or whether in our workplaces. Everywhere AI will be there. So the first thing,
Agreed.
first answer ticked. Second thing is how I'm going to interact with, whether I'm going to deny it until it's too late and then catch up, or I want to be proactive and start jumping on it and then try to understand as early as possible. In one line, what I am telling myself is adopt AI by adapting to AI. For example, just giving you a very basic example, I'm an old school person. Whenever I'm in a meeting, I have my physical notepad, my pen with me all the time. I write down all the information that I'm discussing because I have a bad memory. So the best thing is to note it down. And then after the meeting, I just read it, what was discussed, and then I document it and then I send the notes or meeting minutes to the teams. But now what I'm doing, it's easier for me. I write it down. If we cannot record the meetings, certain sensitive meetings with the clients, what I do, I read it out loud to Copilot and then
Okay.
ask Copilot to summarize it. And it does
Hmm.
far better than job than me. So it is still saving my time, which is like just a personal productivity that I'm using
Right.
it for. There are massive applications that I'm using. So what it is doing, what I have learned, there are a couple of things that I've immediately jumped on rather than becoming an AI developer or AI architect. I'm not seeing myself from that standpoint. I'm just seeing myself as a consumer, because if I understand that as a consumer of an AI, how I feel, at the same time, then I can solve the problems of my clients' customers. So I will see them how AI can solve their problems as well. I think that should be the starting point of something, rather than going deep into the code or the backend side of it. We will not be able to create or document models for AI. It's already been built. We will be just consuming, whether it's
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Claude, or any other AI tool, we will be consuming. We have to learn how quickly and efficiently interact with AI and with the less cost to get the outcome we are expecting or solution that we are expecting from it. So this is the
Yes.
basic thing, because if you see, currently AI is using massive data and then energy and resources in
Oh,
the
yeah.
back. If we are not efficient enough in terms of getting very quickly what it requires, it's like it's billing to our clients credits. So
Yes.
we have to save that. It's like you are going somewhere in a car using fuel and bringing something. If you are not getting the right thing in the first go,
Yeah.
you
You
will
have
be
to go
spending more
multiple
fuel.
times.
So
Yeah.
at times it doesn't feel, because we are just typing, oh it did, oh I asked something wrong, do it again.
Yes.
So we have that leverage, but in the back, resources are being consumed.
So absolutely. I think the 2 points that you brought up. One thing I think very important. You touched upon that. Why are we having this conversation? The purpose is to share our views and help others understand where this market is heading, where all these technologies are heading. That's the
Yep.
entire purpose of this series, that we will be discussing different technologies, their status, their path, how one can relate with it, whether they can be the consumers or they can be the professionals who want to leverage this technology to solve any business problems for themselves or for their end users. That's very important. We are not making an opinion that we want everybody is going to
Correct.
align with
Correct.
and going to agree with.
Yep.
This is more of a conversation where we want other like-minded people and not like-minded people to point out what
Yep.
are their perspectives,
Yep.
how do they see the same
Yeah.
topic from a different angle. So that's very important. I think you're absolutely right in terms of the users. We have to become the adapt user. We shouldn't be fearing about
Yep.
whether it is going to replace my job or not. I need to become an adapt user that is going to. There is another term that I'm going to use that you will start hearing a lot more and more at work, and also outside work you will start hearing it. It's called the token economy, which is the
Yes.
tokenomics,
Yep.
which is rightly you said that if taking a crude example or a layman example, if I send someone to go and get a banana from the store,
Yep.
and then the person spends the fuel and the energy to go and get the banana, and then I don't like that particular item, I have to send it back. So
Yep.
that's where I'm consuming a lot of resources without actually getting a result. There
Correct.
are multiple news outlets reporting that the organizations have ran over their
Yep.
bills for the
Budgets.
AI spending budget. Why they are doing it? Because we are not efficient yet to
Yes.
get this particular agents or the models to do the work that I want. And
Yep.
that's why we keep spending it, even though it's just the words. But each character that we type is generating a token that's going to cost an organization or to myself if I'm using it at personally at home. So more efficient we become. So the very first thing is, I would say, start using it. Don't fear it.
Yep.
Second, don't trust everything that comes
Correct.
out of it.
Yes.
Third, make it understand what you are trying to get out of it
Yep.
by providing as much information as possible, but trying to control the output. If
Output.
that's what you want, you want the outcome, not output from
Correct.
it. You want to achieve an outcome. It's outcome driven. And
Yep.
the fourth thing is that if you're a tech professional, then don't hesitate to open it up and look into it, that what it is, that where this information is coming from or how that data is being generated. But what you will come to know, or that's very, I think, interesting that I want to highlight, that what are actually models? Models are
Yep.
the engines that are running at the back end. But what those engines are, or the models are, these are complex mathematical equations and algorithms
Correct.
that process the output actions that will resemble similar to human intelligence. So
Yeah.
in a way, it's a pure mathematics algorithm
Yep.
happening in a supercomputer or in a computing space, which we call the GPU, because it
Yep.
accelerates the possibility of
Yep.
solving a problem. And that's why we see GPUs
Yep.
are the hottest the hottest I
Yep.
would say the item in any bomb right now, that
Yep.
everybody wants GPUs. But what you're gonna do with the GPU? There are
Correct.
so many things, and there will be new jobs that will open up
Yep.
around token economy, about
Yep.
AI monetization, AI
Yep.
applications, and
True.
just the model training itself. So
Yep.
we shouldn't be fearing. There is
Yep.
a healthy number of options that are going to be made available in future. We just have to be ready to
Yes.
grab that. And how do we grab that is, one, understand how these things work, how
Yep.
I can use it, how I can leverage it to
True.
save my time for the menial task
Yep.
that I would like somebody else to do it for me as an
Yep.
assistant or as an
Yep.
intern, while I do the high order thinking and
Yep.
critical thinking in order to take decisions on top of it.
True.
So this
Exactly.
is exactly where I would say that this is the right starting point and right mindset that we should have on it.
For today, I think it is really good conversation and
Yes,
really good points that I want to leave for the audience. And then for the next time, I still love to have that conversation about the governance aspect or the
absolutely.
accountability aspect. Imagine it is being implemented, then what? Who
Yeah,
will be responsible and how it will be governed? I think that's where it will be getting interesting. And then people who are listening to it and who have listened to this far, and if they have any thoughts or any disagreements or counter thoughts, please share with us, because we are also learning. We are also
absolutely.
improving our understanding. So maybe my context, based on my understanding, is based on my interaction with the people or technology so far. I may not be preview of something else that other people have been interacting and experiencing. So they can share their experience, and then we can also evolve from it.
Oh, absolutely. I think you already gave us the topic for our next conversation, the
Absolutely.
governance aspect around AI, implementing AI, and then what happens. And as you said, that there will be more things that we will be discussing. Our goal is to collectively learn and also share what we learn. Our job here is not to give you a certain opinion
Yep.
and then don't have time to disagree with it. We are open to any criticism, sport, and different type of ideas. We welcome everyone on that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kashpai. Thanks for your time. I think it was overdue between you and I,
Yes,
because we have been touching upon it, but we never got a chance. But today we spent like allocated this time for our friends and for our community that who wanted to hear us what we think about it. So this will be like a more consolidated and an organized conversation that we can share for them.
yeah, I believe that it is going to be resonating with a lot of tech professionals that are in the same stage where they see this AI, and the goal here is that we leave you with something that you have can think and come back and share with us. So we
Absolutely.
will be again meeting soon, and
Absolutely.
hopefully we will meet on a regular basis to bring more and more topics of discussion that are interesting, how this whole tech world is revolving around and how it impacts our own lives as consumers of these applications.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thank
Kashpai.
you, Randa, for the time
Thanks.
today, and we'll look forward to getting you again and
Absolutely.
discuss the next topics on it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.